You may not believe it every time, but I swear I'm honest every time about my feelings on the Nintendo Direct. And that's why today is going to be no different. Buckle up, get ready, grab some popcorn, because we finally arrived at a Nintendo Direct that blew my mind. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. This is Bowser. We're here to discuss what I think was my most hated Nintendo Direct of all time. Now, I know some people like the games. I know some people are excited for certain things, and that's totally fine. I'm not invalidating you or saying that you're not correct in being excited for a few... Excuse me. You got... Oh, okay. All right, he found his spot. You gonna find your spot? Okay. To me, that was more exciting than the Direct. That segment right there, cat stepping over a microphone arm. That's how bad it was, in my opinion. I don't blame you for liking it. That's totally great. I'm excited for you. But I think this was one of the most niche targeted directs that we've ever seen. And it's easy to say, oh, be excited for people that got games they wanted, when a direct is a little bit more balanced. Just a little bit more balanced. This direct, I feel, was horribly unbalanced. And let's get it out of the way. The indie world was solid. I'm not talking about the indie world. I think the indie world was strong. I think there's some great releases today like Peglin and Pizza Tower. I think Morsels literally looks like one of my most anticipated games of any game size or scope. I thought that was a solid presentation, and even though I thought the Balatro DLC was actual new content and not just palette swaps for the cards, I still felt like the indie world was strong. We got a date for Neva, which I think looks really, really nice and more appealing to me than even Greece. I thought the indie world was good. Set that aside. No shade to any of that or that part of the presentation. But there's clearly a reason they went with the indie world first, even though I think it worked against them. They go with the indie world first, making you think that the best stuff is being saved for last. They go with the indie world first because they want you to see the indie games, but in actuality, the indie world was the star of the show, and the third-party showcase was pitiful. That's how far things have fallen, because that's the third-party support that we're getting here in the 8th year of Switch. This tells you so hardcore that the Switch 2 is right around the corner, because every major publisher is not abandoning the Switch. They're not forgetting about the Switch. They're just heads down making games for the next console that they're much more excited to sell to you. I'm convinced that this show, in my opinion, was horrible because the Switch 2 is right around the corner. Yet at the same time, I don't think a show should just get a pass because, oh, maybe they have another new system that they're going to announce next month and eventually we'll buy those games. Look, when the highlight of the presentation is old DS Castlevanias, you got a problem. Those games are great, but how many of you have a DS or another way to play DS games and don't really need them on Switch? Power Stone, cool. Some old Street Fighters, cool. Marvel vs. Capcom, a childhood nostalgic dream for me. But I'm just not the target audience for games from forever ago coming back and having to buy them again when I literally have the old game. I have Marvel vs. Capcom. I can just go play that. Is it cool to play on your Switch? Yes, but there's so many things that now do the portable thing. Like I have a Steam Deck, I have a ROG Ally, and you may not have that, and that's totally fine. That's why I say like it's a-okay if this direct was awesome to you, but anime games getting like the premier slots, they're like, ooh, check out what's next. And it's like a new Atelier game. No thanks. Ooh, check out what's next. And it's like, I don't even remember, first Tales of... So many JRPG type games, I felt like it was very much something that did not need its own direct. And there wasn't anything to sort of like come in on the other side. Totally fine to be very niche and totally fine to have these games that are bringing things back or introducing franchises that were popular forever ago. If you have something that appeals to the modern audience. And you might say, hey, Zach, you should not have bought into the leaks, that's why you're disappointed. But no, because even if I never saw a single leak, even if there wasn't the Call of Duty leak, even if there wasn't any of those other types of things, I would never have predicted this for the show. I thought clearly Nintendo was jamming these two together to have a big bang before the holiday season. And I can't stand that Nintendo does this thing where they say, today's presentation will focus on games releasing in the second half of 2024, and then half the games are 2025. I don't understand why they do that. It's like they're trying to hypnotize us into thinking all these games are soon, but then in reality, they're like, yeah, we got nothing, so they're 2025. Why do they do that? Why can't they just omit that line? Why say that we're going to show you stuff for the second half of 2024 and then half of it's 2025? Just don't say that. You don't have to say that. That line can be omitted. Whoever's doing the script writing for the Nintendo Directs, omit that. I think obviously we're in the very last stages of the Switch's life cycle, so the Directs are going to be a bummer. It's like after year 5, maybe the expectation for Directs just needs to go down a notch, but then I take ourselves back to June, and I thought that Direct was surprising, exciting, and hit all the right notes. Now, maybe again, it's just because I like those kind of games, but I did think the breadth was there in the June Direct, and even the February Partner Showcase. If you remember, the February Partner Showcase had a lot of different variety, a lot of different genres, and this one felt very one note. And then they go into a whole segment on fitness boxing. I'm glad for the fitness boxing superfans, but like, do these things need the time of a Direct? At the end of the day, I would rather, this is a dangerous statement, but I think it's true. I don't know. I was going to say I think I'd rather have no Direct than a bad Direct, but maybe that's not true. Because it's still fun. It's still enjoyable. I'm a weirdo. I still would rather get hyped up and then disappointed than nothing, because at least you had that period of hype. At least for a few days I was really excited that we were going to get some sick announcements. And I don't know why I think this, but like, there's so many games out there. There's so many publishing partners. There's so many cool things to talk about that I always find it strange what they choose to focus on. I feel like even with the stuff already coming out, Nintendo could have cobbled together a better presentation. I thought this really stunk. I would honestly give this like, the Partner Showcase to me gets like a 2 or 3 out of 10. I don't really know what could have made it much worse. To me, this felt as bad or worse than the WWE Superstars focused Partner Showcase. I think that was the first Partner Showcase, and I thought it was horrible, and I think most people agreed. This one was really bad. Like, to me, the best part of the Partner Showcase was the Epic Mickey demo dropping, and that wasn't even part of the Partner Showcase. Again, the indie world was fun, and taken as a whole, like, it's a little bit better because I do have fun things to play today, and I am excited about those games. But stuff like Goat Simulator 3, we already knew plenty of exactly what they told us about Civilization 7. We knew the release date. I don't really care about updates to games like, Disney Dreamlight Valley or things that are getting additional DLC. Like Five Nights at Freddy's feels like it's maybe 5 or 10 or 15 years past its prime. Those games don't really do it for me. And then closing with Yakuza, I feel is just like, in my opinion, I feel like it's what made the Switch great in the first 3 or 4 years and now just doesn't work anymore, which is taking an old franchise and being like, wow, it's portable and it's on a Nintendo console. Ain't that cool news? It doesn't feel cool to me. Now, I'm blessed that I've got to play many platforms. I've had PlayStations in my life. I've had Xboxes. I have the current lineup of consoles. Maybe for people that don't have that, it's a little bit better. It's a little bit more exciting. It's like, wow, this is here. But getting excited for like a 7 or 8-year-old Yakuza game, well, the original is much older than that. Kiwami, I don't know when that came out, but I feel like it's over. I feel like we're past that. I feel like the reason that was exciting is the introduction of hybrid portable play. That's a thing of the past. Therefore, this, like, as one more thing, come on. Come on. I'm not even going to call out any specific game. I'm not even going to mention the game that people were wondering if it would be there, that I hoped would be there. I'm not even going to say it because literally it could have been anything. They could have done a Warriors game and I still would have said like, ho-hum, not really for me, but I'll give it like a 6 because at least there was a Nintendo first party. They could have announced something substantial. Kirby, Pokemon, Endless Ocean 4. Like something would have been better than what we had. I really feel personally like this is the worst group of games that have been featured in a Nintendo presentation. Even though there's been some generals that have been disappointing, to me there was always one thing you could hang your hat on, like, oh, there's Smash Bros. DLC. Oh, we're getting a new Splatoon. Like, there's always something you could be like, okay, well, that's really great. Everything that I'm looking forward to playing on Switch was not in that presentation. I think it might be the first Nintendo Direct of any kind, mini, general, or partner, where there's not a single thing I'm interested in playing. I will probably check out Dragon Quest III HD 2D just because it looks so nice, but I feel like I will probably pop off that pretty fast because I don't really have the stomach for old school JRPGs anymore. It's just not something I really have the time for, or rather choose to use my time for. This is definitely a Zach did not gel with this Direct type of thing. But I think if we're brutally honest, we can all agree that this was a pretty poor show. And like, yes, it's towards the end of the life cycle. Yes, we expect them to reveal Switch 2. Yes, they already have their major first-party games set. But I don't think those are reasons to evaluate a presentation on a different scale. Like, oh, because they already have Zelda and Mario coming out later this year, this then gets bumped? Because the Switch 2 may be announced next month, and that's why they cleared the slate, this gets bumped? Like, no, it's still pretty sucky. It's still pretty poor. And I just feel like a personal wish, the Switch 2 is strong enough that the emphasis and focus can be on new games and not having to drag from the past. The Switch has relied so heavily on drawing from yesteryear, and it's been successful at that, and I'm glad for it. I don't know that we need another generation where that is the emphasis. Pulling Borderlands 1 on the Switch was super cool. Pulling Bioshock 1 on a Nintendo Switch was super cool. Getting the Batman Arkham games on Switch, they performed really bad, but Arkham Asylum in particular was super cool. It was great the whole first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth year of getting these games that were available previously elsewhere, and now they're on Switch, and now you can play them here, and isn't that nifty? Persona! I mean, Yakuza, even a few years ago, would have been like, whoa, Yakuza! There's countless games from the original trailer featuring Oblivion as like, play Elder Scrolls on Switch, even though it's so old. I don't think that should cut it for the next generation. I don't think that this type of presentation should ever exist for the Switch 2, because there should be enough good stuff and enough new stuff that these types of games can be the fluff of the directs, or they can be released as trailers and press releases. I don't think that, again, Castlevania DS are great games, but that should not be the highlight of your presentation. And then your big NSO drop is Tetris. We thought they might do GameCube. Ha ha ha. Nintendo said, we got you. Tetris NES. Like, that is where I do think Nintendo doesn't love us enough, because they have a huge stockpile of games that they could put out. The GBA library is huge. And they're like, you get Tetris NES. That's how they feel. You know, I understand development slowing down on major Switch 1 titles. I understand first parties shifting to the next generation. I understand third parties wanting to emphasize games on other platforms because the power gap and the hardware gap is just too large. I don't understand Nintendo being stingy as all heck with their virtual console stuff, their NSO stuff, because they have that sitting there ready to go. They have that sitting there waiting for us. And instead they say, you get Nintendo NES Tetris. Slap in the face, baby. Pay for that service, and that's their big September fall update. I mean, maybe there's going to be more for NSO. There always could be, but all I can evaluate is right here, right now. If the Switch 2 presentation is great, I'm sure, yeah, I'll forget about this. But right now, right here, that's not how it's being evaluated. There's no Switch 2 presentation. There's no future NSO drop. There's no big secret Pokemon Legends ZA trailer at the Game Awards. We don't have anything but this. And this sucked, I think. Pretty bad. The indie world, I liked some of the games. I'm going to play Pizza Tower. I'm going to play Peglin, Meva, a few others. The Partner Showcase was probably the worst I've ever seen. And there wasn't even many farm games. One farm game, and it still was so bad. That shows you how far we've fallen. The Farm Direct was somehow better than... Oh my gosh. The Farm Direct were actually dug in my backyard as like a joke because of farming. That was a stronger presentation than this one. Yep, that's a sad state of affairs. Well, let me know what you thought of this Direct, and please, Nintendo, please, let's emphasize next generation that yes, we can harken back, and we can pull all these games forward. We can bring Power Stone back from the dead. We can bring Marvel vs. Capcom and Castlevania DS and Tetris NES and Suikoden. But really, that should not be what our presentations center around and focus on, because man, oh man, we should have so many other games that actually are new, actually are forward-focused, actually incorporate new ideas, and take advantage of a system that no longer should be relying on its gimmick as its sole source of entertainment. Thank you for my TED Talk on this terrible Direct. If you enjoyed it, I'm so glad. Kind of wish I loved those genres more so I could enjoy it, but I thought this was too niche and objectively did not have enough breadth or variety or even like a big new game to really be worth anything more than an F. The final thing was Yakuza Kiwami. I don't think that's the final thing. The first thing
Boom, baby.
Oh, it was
Just like
Tetris.
that, we are live.
It was
for
Tetris.
a double.
They're like
direct,
Tetris and
a
Yakuza.
two-scoop Nintendo
That's what we got for you.
goodness.
Let's not
My
forget the
mic
Patrick
is
Star
fuzzy.
game. That's probably my favorite thing.
And Nintendo
That's the only
is
thing I
cooking.
might
I don't know
remotely
what
consider
they're
playing
cooking.
because I was a SpongeBob
Well, we know a
kid.
few things, but what's going on, everybody? It's
But I
our
don't even think that
SwitchForce.
looked very
There's
great.
just
It
a
can look
little
like
bit until the double direct
roll around as
airs.
Patrick
We've got
and, like,
an
the
Indie
physics
World
go crazy.
Followed up by a partner showcase, both in a row.
I could
which
probably
is
talk
a
about this for
first
like an
of its
hour.
kind.
It's disappointing.
And it should
I
be
get so excited for
pretty
these
darn
things.
exciting.
And knowing
Thank
that
you,
this is probably
everybody,
the
for being
last
here,
direct
whether
of the
it's
year.
early or late for you.
And
I
think about
appreciate
this.
being
If
here.
that's
It's
the
early
last
for
Switch
me.
1 Direct,
Yeah,
are you really happy with how it went down?
A few minutes ago.
Are you really happy
We
that
got the tea
they gave us a
cooking.
double scoop of pain?
Pretty
Indie
good.
World was fine,
And,
but the
it
partner
looks like
showcase
we're
was
gonna get some interesting
horrible.
stuff today.
That's how the
including
Switch
some surprise
1
drops.
goes.
And I think
Not with a
I
bang, but a
think
whimper.
some
All
better
right,
things
let me know you're
than
taking the
people
comments
are
down below. I'll
expecting.
shut myself up.
The real
so that I
question,
don't
of course,
keep
is do we see
wallowing
Hollow
in
Knight
the
Silk
weirdness.
Song? But we'll table
That
that
was
for
today's
now.
show. I hope we're
I've
back
got
next
everything
month
set up,
with a
so
far superior, stronger
let's
presentation
show
that's
you
about
here, like,
something
we've got
called
the-
Switch
well,
2
that's not
and
what
not
we're
about
gonna
something
show
called
you.
whatever this was. Till next time, everybody. Stay safe, stay
Where
healthy,
is
stay
the
happy, stay positive out
direct?
there. Thanks so much for watching.
Oh, here it is.
SwitchForce out.